Hi everyone. We will start the session now. I think most of us have joined us tonight. I guess a few will join us later on, but let's start anyway. So welcome, of course, we're really happy to see that so many of you are interested in what we have to offer because we strongly believe in our project and really think this is a fantastic jumpstart in your career. So we hope we'll convince you to apply after this presentation. So maybe a few webinar etiquette tips before we start. May we ask you all to mute yourself. I would suggest you don't use your video now during the presentation, but use it later on in the breakout rooms because it's much nicer if you're in small groups and to know whom you're talking to. If you have questions, use the chat. Annika will collect them and we can discuss them later on. For your information, the webinar is recorded, so we'll put it on our website in a few days. To start with, here is the PAF team, and I realized I started mentioning PAF. I guess you all know PAF stands for Prince Albert Fund, but we always use PAF as an acronym. It's shorter, efficient, maybe not very elegant, but so you'll hear a lot of PAF tonight. So this is Annika and myself, and we're both in charge of the Prince Albert Fund here at the King Baudouin Foundation. Maybe before we start, one word about the origin of the fund. We've been created in '84, more than 35 years ago, and it was a joint idea of the Federation of Belgian Enterprises and the King Baudouin Foundation, and it was in the honor of the 50th birthday of His Royal Highness Prince Albert, whom, as you know, was very active for export and helping Belgian companies export, and it was a thank you gift from those two organizations. The mission of the fund has remained unchanged since the beginning. The idea is really help young professionals to develop their talent, more specifically their talent abroad, and develop their careers at an early stage. And then, of course, the nice side effect of this is that by developing their careers, they will as well reinforce the export capabilities of Belgian companies. So what is it all about? I guess you all know about the grant of 25,000 euros that you will receive if you're selected. And you receive this grant to pursue a business development project that will last 1 year, that will be outside Europe, and of course UK and Switzerland do not count as Europe, and it needs to be for a Belgian company. So whom is eligible for our grant? You need to be a Belgian citizen or domiciled in Belgium for at least 2 years, whatever your nationality, but you need to have some affinities and understanding of the Belgian culture. You need to be maximum 30 years old when you apply. And yeah, this at the end of this year, actually, you still need to be 30. You need to have a master's degree. Whatever your degree, we don't expect you to have a master's degree in business. You're very welcome to apply. If you're an architect, a doctor, if you've studied communication, political science, we have all kinds of young people applying. But of course, you need to have a keen interest in business. As you know, it's about doing business. It's not about being a doctor in Singapore or an architect in New York. It's about, as an architect or a doctor, if that would be your case, working to develop the business of the company. It can be in healthcare and real estate in those situations, of course, but it's about developing business. And then we expect you as well to have at least 2 or 3 years of professional experience. So you should have started working if you plan to apply this year, no later than in summer of 2019, which will give you 2 years of experience by summer 21 when you could start your PAF project. If you are a PhD student and you've finished your PhD, we consider that as professional experience. And then, of course, you need to be fluent in English. And it's quite obvious that that is the international language that you need to master if you want to travel abroad. Just a few examples of great candidates we had over the last years. Antoinette, who worked for Cubico in San Francisco, and she's actually with us tonight, so she will be able to tell you all about her project during the breakout later on. Jonathan, totally different project. He's in Chile, did his project for West and still works for them based in Santiago. He's with us straight from Santiago tonight as well. Justine did a great project for Deme in Taiwan. She's not with us tonight. It's quite late for her, so she couldn't join us. And she's a great example of a lawyer who really changed her career and went into the industry. Junior, who's with us tonight as well, joining us from Colombia. He works for La Lorraine. He did his project 2 years ago and still works for them in Colombia. Again, he'll tell you all about it later on. Florence, who's as well with us tonight, worked for Politra in several countries in Africa, but mainly based in Tanzania. And she'll tell you also all about her project later on. Another alumni who's with us tonight, Peter Yan, he did his project 2 years ago for Pain Quotidien in New York. Very interesting project in supply chain. And again, he will tell you all about it later on. So this is just to give you a flavor and show you that we have candidates in different countries, different companies, and with very different projects. So what are the selection criteria of the jury? The first thing the jury will look at is your personality. They want to know if you're a driven person, if you're entrepreneurial, how much charisma do you have? Are you able to convince? Do you see yourself selling something in a foreign country? Are you open-minded, flexible? Are you a team player? How mature are you? Will you be able to adapt to another culture? All those elements are important and will be assessed by the jury in March next year. Second, they want to know what your past achievements were. Of course, it can be your track record of excellence in your studies and your work experience, but as well youth activities you've done, sports activities that you might have undertaken, voluntary work, whatever you've been doing, do not hesitate to inform the jury about it. They will definitely consider it. Then, of course, they're interested in see how you cope with mistakes, problems you might have encountered along the way. How resilient are you? How can you manage to overcome those difficulties? Is definitely something interesting for the jury because a path here is not an easy year, so you will be confronted with difficulties. So it's important for the jury to find out whether you can rebound in those circumstances. And then, as I mentioned before, your interest and your affinity for working in business is an important asset because, of course, it's all about doing business. Of course, your motivation is of utmost importance for the jury. They want to know why you want to do this, why you believe this is an important step in your career, how you believe this will bring you one step further, and what will you do with this brand. And an aspect that matters as well is to find out what the impact of the brand will be on your career, but as well how you plan to contribute to society at large. That is an element that the jury is interested to find out about. So what is the application process? The first step is to apply by January 11th. It's online. It's on the website of the King Baudouin Foundation, Koning Baudouin Stichting for the Fondation Baudouin. You see the address on the screen. If you go on the website, Google Prince Albert Fund, and you'll find the project call immediately. You have to fill in a PDF file. You have all the time you want to work on it, save it. It's only once you submit it that you will be able to access it and see it. So feel free to start working on it as soon as you can and really take the time to work on it because it really takes time. Some questions are quite difficult to answer and quite personal. So take the time you need to answer them, but make sure you apply and submit before January 11th midnight. No exceptions will be made, so don't lose that date out of your mind because every year we have candidates calling on the 12th saying that their computer crashed, that they had an IT issue, that they forgot about it, whatever excuse. We're very sorry, but we cannot accept any file that was not entered in the system before January 11th. The second step is a pre-selection. Once all the files will have been processed and entered in the system, 4 members of the jury will read each file and they will assess them based on the criteria that I mentioned before. and they will quote you and evaluate you based on those criteria. And we will then compile full list of candidates with the quotations of the jury members, and the 75 who ranked highest will be invited for interviews. And we're sorry that we don't have much feedback to give at that stage, since it is a written evaluation. So I know it's often very frustrating, but there's not much we can tell you at that stage. The third step is then the jury. And that will take place on March 19th, and the Friday. It will be in Brussels, close to Luxembourg Station in the center of Brussels, and a hotel, large premises, so totally COVID-proofed, no fears of joining us. It will be on the 19th, as I said, and you will know about 2 weeks before if you're selected. And this year we have up to 30 grants available, which is great news because it used to be less in the past. So you will receive a time slot, as I said, about 2 weeks before. Please try to stick to the time that you will receive, because it's a big puzzle for Anneke to try to change that if one of you cannot make it. So if you already know that you have some difficulties on that day, either if you cannot join, then don't apply. And if you already have preferences, let it know as rapidly as possible to Anneke. What happens on the day of the jury? You will be asked to arrive 1 hour before you meet the jury members, because you will have 60 minutes to prepare a business case that you will have them to present in front of the jury. Don't be afraid if you haven't studied business. It's not about finding out if you're a number cruncher. You don't need to have been a consultant before. It's just trying to find out if you have business acumen, if you have gezond boerenverstand, as we say in Belgium, if you know how to handle an issue, how you address issues. So nothing very number crunchy, no worries for the not engineers in the room. You will meet the jury for about 25 minutes. The first 10 minutes are devoted to the business case, and then there's about 15 minutes where they will ask you questions about yourself. A typical jury counts about 6 jury members. Many are alumni. We always have HR specialists. We have CEOs from several companies. So it's a diverse group of senior business people that will interview you. And then you will know rapidly after the weekend, Tuesday no later, if you're selected, if you're among the 30 happy fews. And then, of course, if you will not be selected, you will receive thorough feedback that will help you understand why and what you could eventually do if you're planning to reapply next year to be a stronger candidate. If you're selected, we organize a training session, and it's 3 days. Note it down already because we really expect you there. It's an important element of the full program. It's on April 16th and 17th, and on May 28th, where you will have a leadership training and as well have the opportunity to meet with companies in May to start looking for a project. And it's only once you're selected for PATH that you have to start looking for a project. Every year we have questions from candidates asking if they have to have a project before applying. That is not the case. You have all the time to need, once you're selected, to look for a project. The project has to be for a Belgian company, as we said before. It needs to be a rather entrepreneurial project, launch something new for the company, a new project, a new product, a new factory, investigate new countries, new grounds, whatever, but it's about growing a company and help them with that project. It's in business development, as I said, and it needs to be outside the EU, and it's for 12 months. So it's not a 6-month internship, it's not longer. You can, of course, stay with the company after that 1 year, and many candidates do, but it's then outside the PATH grant and program. Every year, we receive quite a lot of projects from companies who are very interested in our candidates. So we will, of course, have projects to propose as well if you don't have any specific one in mind. Just to give you an idea of the type of projects that or companies, I'm sorry, that we've had in the past. As you see, all type of companies, healthcare, heavy industry, food sector, digital startups, beers, um, whatever. Really, we're open to any kind of company as long as it's Belgian and is planning to grow outside of Europe. So what are the obligations of the company if they decide to take you on board is, of course, to provide you with a challenging project. It's not about being an intern. It's really about taking a full project in your hands. They, of course, have to provide internal support. It's not because they might send you on your own at the other part of the world that they do not need to give you all the information and all the support you need to fulfill your project well. And then, of course, they have to pay for your housing costs, for transportation costs, for all costs related to your mission. Would you need to attend trade fairs? Would you need to visit clients? Of course, they have to make sure there's the needed budget for that. And there's always an administrative fee to be paid to the Prince Albert Fund. Many want to know what your status is during your path here. You actually, for the Belgian state, are a full-time student. So be aware that you will have no pension rights, no vacation credit during that year. That's the reason why the tax is grant-free. You need to keep a residence in Belgium to benefit from social security when you're in Belgium, because you will, during that year, spend a few weeks in Belgium. And we subscribe to an additional health insurance for you when you are abroad. A few tips. I would say think before applying. Of course, first of all, to check whether you're interested in doing that kind of assignment, but then check a few practicalities. If you're selected in March, you will have to leave between September 21 and January 22. So make sure that's okay for you, that you're not in a project or that you don't have obligations to be in Belgium later on, because we make no exception. You really have to start your project at that moment. And if not, your grant is lost. Make sure as well that you're ready for that adventure. Every year, candidates tell us how long it takes to find a project. So if you're still in a job, you will have to take time to find a new project. And also be aware that there's no ideal projects. Every year again, we have candidates who have a very, very precise and narrow idea in mind about what they want to do. Of course, sometimes it's possible and it's great, but then sometimes they don't find the right company, the right destination, the right project, and they decide then not to pursue the grant, which is really a pity. So be aware that you will need to be flexible if you go for that adventure. And then a few additional practicalities. Think about your personal situation. It's not always easy to leave if you want your boyfriend or girlfriend to join you. There's visa issues, there's travel restrictions, even more now with COVID. So take that into consideration before you apply to make sure that it's realistic for you to leave for 1 year as of the end of next year. And then later on, we'll have the chance to listen to Emily, who is joining us straight from Chile, and she will tell her all about her project. She finished it a few months ago, and she's actually still working in Chile for Piratas. And we'll hear as well Laura, who's based in New York, joins us from New York as well, where she has done her project for Amobi, and she actually is still working for Amobi in New York. So that will be an opportunity for you to listen to what a project means for real. After their testimonials, we'll move to breakout rooms for 20 minutes, and in each breakout room, you will be in a small group, and you will have a Lanurni with you in the room who will share his or her experience, and that will be a great opportunity for you to ask questions in small groups. And please don't be shy. There's nothing like a stupid question. Feel free. It's a great opportunity to ask whatever you want to know about life. So before I leave you, just insisting on the date, January 11th is the ultimate date if you want to apply this year. You can find all practical information on our website, princealbertfund.be. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out to us at paf@kbs-frb.be. You find that all on the website. Reach out to us if you still have questions after this presentation. And then, yeah, that's the final question. Are you ready for that PAF adventure? And we very much hope so. And we hope to meet with you at the beginning of next year. Thank you a lot for your attention.